Good morning. It's a late February, I believe it's the 22nd, 23rd, somewhere in there. 2025, Southern Railway, Memphis Division, 1975-ish. Still working on some staging stuff. I'll show you what's going on. This is my new buddy, Fenrir. He's a new addition to the family. And then we'll see what we got. All right, so where we left off. Oh, I know, okay. Let's see what happened there. All right. So when we left off, we had just, put this bench work back in with the new top. So I've gotten, put a joint in here. And again, this ring of helix is just temporary for the testing that I was doing. You still see the branch going off to the Reynolds over there, getting descending. So again, be short trains with 4-axle power, shouldn't have too much of an issue getting up and down that little grade there. Get over there behind. So I first tried, again, I got 2 tracks coming down. Once the outer track comes is the Sheffield line, the inner track is the line that will basically be coming, heading west to Memphis. So my first try at this was to put a couple of Peco medium turnouts, and you could, in this space right here, you could fit both right and left crossovers, but with those short turnouts and the long cars coming down off the helix turn, it was not happy. So switched back to the longer turnout and the arch turnouts for Pico, and now this thing can gravity roll right through those without issue. So I'll have to stick with that. So we get the outer to inner crossover here, and again, the 2 mains now after the turnouts, so the 2 mains are here going around, and then you'll see the inner to outer crossover right there. And phone, so apparently that button does the side buttons where my hand wants to hold it is changes the zoom. I'm stumbling into that, but there's the inner to outer crossover there. So there'll be, again, 6 tracks coming in. It goes from the 2 mains, then it goes track, far track. You'll see the split. Here's one, and then there'll be another curved turnout like this one out here, which will attach to that far out track there. Now it won't be able to be staging all the way up to the nose because it's got the turnout for Reynolds sitting there. So we'll have to plan pretty carefully to get trains to and from the Reynolds plant, because that's the longest staging track over there. So more than likely something over there will be, the Reynolds train will be doubled in front of, because there's plenty of space on that long track. You see what that's a long mixed freight back there, and there's still plenty of space behind it and plenty of space in front of it to that turnout there before it fouls. So more than likely the Reynolds train will be either staged behind that train or in front of it for an operating session if we need all the tracks that we're going to ultimately have. But for on this front side here, you see the Pride coal train in its max size, 3 leading units, brain car, 2 mid-train helpers, all the way back to caboose. I think that's 32 hoppers. And as a kid, remembering that was usually the longest train we saw, or well, car count wise, was the Pride coal train. So you gotta, just so the fact that it's gonna be the longest train here definitely matches up with memory, car count wise. Now again, hoppers are shorter, so there may have been some truly longer trains, lengthwise, but just as late 70s, early 80s that I remember as a kid. I don't remember counting more than, you know, the 97 cars of the coal train were definitely some of the longest trains we counted. So, but you'll see that's on the outermost track. The next track in is another long staging track. The third one in is a short staging track, because its turnout comes from right there, off of the main, off of the Sheffield Main, and it's going to be a fairly short track, terminating. Yeah, the gap is in that one, terminating right there. So that's more than likely that's going to be a passenger train staging track. So the passenger trains will use that one. Then the fourth track out in line here is the Sheffield Main, and then the fifth track out there is the Memphis Main. So the two mains will swing out on the other side of that. There will be a turnout here where the Sheffield Main will come in. There will be, and then it'll be the Sheffield Main will be on the outer track here, and the Memphis Main will run into the inner track there. Then they will swing around until we get to here. So spacing gives us 4 tracks on the outside of the supports for the upper deck here, where this one train is sitting. And again, you see definitely got the length here to double up the local to Reynolds in front of it if we need to, or since they're more than likely will probably be 2 locals running it, because again, remember there's going to be the chemical plant here, there's the auto plant here in the corner, and then Reynolds here and the other plant. So there more than likely will be 2 runs to Reynolds, and so you know, definitely rooming on that outside track there, which is the one that has the Reynolds spur off of it for 2 trains, you know, nose to elephant style. And that'll probably be how that runs. One will go out, start switching, and it gets back on the, you know, comes back in, and the other one will go out. So, and then the other 4 tracks, nice and long through freights up on the layout. And again, most of the time, on the layout will be the empty sitting here, waiting to go into the loader. So the loaded train will come out of the helix, orbit the layout, go down, and then the empty train will go reverse go the other way, go into the loader and come down to get stored, and then be repositioned at the end of the session, or beginning before the next one. So there'll be 4 tracks back there. That's the furthest one. So there'll be 3 more coming this way. There will be that one track that comes all the way around to there. We'll come back down into that turnout. And again, depending, that turnout probably going to move off to the right. Not that there's a space issue with it, but just so that, it lengthens what can sit on the track inside of it. So there'll be 3 more pure staging tracks on the inside of that. 1 track there that will end up hooking in to there. That track is will serve the other 2 long lengths going that way. It'll have a turnout basically right there at the end of that, right where it sits right now. or maybe further down, so that you could actually get 2 trains sitting back there and then a third sitting on the single line running, because that line runs all the way to here. So you could get an entire third train pointing up the helix before the turnout for those other, so that it doesn't foul the turnout for those other 2 links. So again, this is that's why iterative design for me is works out these things in real world versus putting stuff down on paper, gluing track down, and then going, oh wait, this should have been like this. So but that's where we're at. We've kind of reached a point where we've used up all the code 80 that I've got. And a lot of this will be in some of these shorter lengths, and everything else will be relayed. Joints will be soldered. Definitely do, for continuity, and also to make sure that you don't get that accidental rail slippage. And of course you see, how wonky that joint is right there. So stuff will be relayed, and I stumbled across a guy that was laying track, and he gets the circuit board ties. And so when you've got the ends of flex where you've had to spread, cut out the ties, you don't just slide a tie into there for looks. You actually slide these circuit board ties under there and solder the rails to them, so that you maintain your tie, your gauge. And I was like, man, that's a brilliant idea. So I'm gonna definitely look into that. Back in my N-track / 1-track modular days, the modular guys use those circuit board ties all the time for module ends, but it's a great idea for that, for between at the ends of flex tracks, so you don't lose your gauge at the with those loose rails being loose where the ties are missing. So definitely some of the things I got to pick up. Got it over to our track, and again, on the top of the layout, I've peeled most of the code 80 up here, so the shoe fly is definitely down to almost that one last track there. For probably be pulling that down for too long, and actually starting to lay out some real helix pieces. Probably gonna go get 1/4" Luan in a marine grade, 6mm marine grade. I think I can get it locally, and build it in, and then layer it. So basically cut eight sections of curve, and then glue and clamp those little thin pieces together to get a thicker laminate, so that there's no real joints. And then I'm going to use the threaded rod for support and height adjustment is the idea at this point. And again, the more I look into it, the more I think about it, the happier and happier I am with that choice. But that's where we are. We're gonna get some track ordered, a couple more turnouts, and making progress. So until next time, thank you for paying attention and watching.